The genre is not evil, it's just that there is a strong potential for addiction in certain types, and these are the types I'm going to be detailing to you right now. So, top 5 worst types of video games you have to avoid as much as possible if you are a young man. First one, shooters. First person shooters, third person shooters. These games mostly work as aggressivity outlets, not boosters. I am not telling you here that playing these games is going to make you into a psychopath that is going to shoot up your score. That is mostly bullshit. It is true that the environment and an aggressive environment can increase your aggressivity, but for the most part, it's not the problem here. Playing GTA is not going to make you go outside and run over a prostitute. The problem, instead, is that it is going to actually catalyze your aggressivity, meaning that you're going to spend it all on the game. You're going to shoot people online, and that's going to make you feel better. But the problem is that this aggressivity was not a bad thing to start with. It was energy to be used intelligently. Of course, if you have the choice between maiming a cat or killing people online, I prefer you kill people online. But the vast majority of you are not sociopaths, and you would have never done that in the first place. Instead, you are wasting valuable energy playing these high-paced, high-aggro games. So that is something to avoid. It's in the same line of previously in part 1 where I told you that the issue of video games is not necessarily that they make you escape reality, rather that is that they copy reality to the point where you're going to start to live them as a reality. It's the same here. The energy you spend online, the mental energy you spend online, could have been spent in real life. You don't have a certain type of mental stamina currency that can only be used in video game. Your brain only has so much energy, and you shoot it, and you use it playing shooting games where you pew at people. That's very nice and all, but again, it's a waste. These games also tend to be high-paced, which can greatly increase your anxiety or your ADHD, because they are almost epileptic games, right? Again, coming from experience, I used to play FPS, I used to play Counter-Strike, Combat Arms, Wolfenstein. I sunk thousands of hours in these games. I got to a very high level at these games. I know what it's like. You end up like laser fucking focused on this, to snipe this guy, to plant the bomb, to look at this angle, to throw the nade. All of this stuff is nice and all in the game, but it does something to you psychologically. If you're someone who has anxiety, it's going to make it worse. If you're someone who has a difficulty to focus in real life, it's going to make it worse. So keep that in mind if you are concerned by these type of afflictions. Also, it has a tendency to increase the feeling
That's not like that's just not true what he's saying. Like, just using your brain in any cognitive function whatsoever, like decreases Alzheimer's, for example. Just using it mentally, for even if you're just thinking strategically about holding an angle, or he can come here now because it's been 30 seconds later, you're using your brain to think logically, which is good. Now, if you're raging constantly and you're feeling ladder anxiety, that's another thing, but using your brain in game is not bad for you. It's really good for you, actually.
Lessness of life, because you always respawn in those games. See, it's what I don't like about video games as well, is that they make you lose the taste for life, because life compared to a video game is boring, to be honest. It's something I already said. But it's even worse with first-person shooters. Actually, I have a fun story about that.
It's not gonna be fun.
My grandpa, who is a complete caveman, meaning that he lives in a place in the world where there is no internet, there is no video games, saw me play one of these games for the first time, and he sort of watched for a second, and after that he asked me, hey, if you want to shoot people so bad, why don't you just go and fight in a war? Why don't you just enroll in the military? And I told him, well, it's because in the military I don't respawn. And he had no answer to that, of course, but it made me realize later on that it was the reason I played these games, is because I respawn, meaning that there is no consequences to my actions. Okay, you got sniped or you got killed, cool, big fucking deal, you're going to be back in a second. It sounds like nothing, it sounds like splitting hair, but there is meaninglessness in that. There is nihilism in that, because in a sense you lose the sense of what makes life so valuable, and it's vicious. It's a vicious phenomenon, but it's something that can worsen you as a person. There are also
literally reading from fucking fucking high school essay. What the fuck, man?